Sweet.
All right, everyone. My name is Rachel Pressler. I am the current reigning Mrs. Colorado 2019, and I am interviewing some current contestants for the upcoming Mrs. Colorado America. And I am so excited to introduce you to Danette, who is our Mrs. Windsor, correct?
Yes.
And we're going to spend the next 15 minutes to really pick your brain, hear your story, and just really make your story shine. So I cannot wait to hear all about you, Danette.
Awesome. It's so good to have you interview me. I'm so excited to have current with me today. So thank you, Rachel.
Yes, absolutely. So tell me, what's your name? I know I said Danette. And then what area you represent?
Okay, well, I am Danette Haig, and I live in Windsor, Colorado, and that's the town that I represent. I am Mrs. Windsor 2020.
Beautiful. So Danette, I know we had that amazing journey last year together, and where you were just right next to me. And so tell me about yourself, like everything down to why you competed, and just tell your audience a little bit about yourself and your story.
Sure. Well, I am a wife and a mom of 4 kids, and my kids range from kindergarten to college. So you can imagine I'm dealing with every end of the spectrum. And I love being a mom. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. Professionally, I started my career as a nurse, a registered nurse, and I worked in pediatrics. So I got to take care of kids in the hospital. And over the last 5 years or so, I transitioned that from taking that nurturing gift that I have at the bedside and in treatment rooms, and transitioning it to a stage as an inspirational speaker. And being able to encourage audiences through whatever's in front of them, it just means so much to me, and it fills me in a way that I've never ever thought I would do. I was a shy girl all my life, and so me being on stage in any capacity is totally out in left field. So, but the fact that I feel so great about it and it fills me in this wonderful way means that I'm doing right what I'm supposed to do right now, and so that's very reassuring.
It's beautiful.
I'm just so honored to be able to do it. The other part that I do right now is I am a volunteer mentor and program kind of lead on the Western States Burn Center in Greeley. And so I get to do a lot of one-on-one mentoring and lead our support group. So that's a fun thing that I get to do as well, and get to take that nurturing more one-on-one, which I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, incredible. So tell us, Danette, I know last year was your first time competing, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And so tell me, what, before you made that decision to compete, what was going through your head? You know, what kind of motivated you to make that leap of faith?
Well, my journey to the pageant stage started eons ago. I remember when I was a little girl, I wanted to be Miss America. And I know a lot of girls probably have that dream, and I certainly had it. And there was a time though, so when I was 10, I was severely burned in a house explosion. And that dream shattered. I remember watching the Miss America competition later that year. I was burned 70% of my body. So I have 3rd-degree scars covering majority of my body. And you know, you think about the pageant world, and it's from the outside perspective, it's all very kind of superficial, right? And that idea of beauty being from the outside. And I remember later in that year watching the competition on TV and feeling that dream. Just as a little girl, that dream filled up in me again, and I started getting excited. And then in the same moment, I looked down at my scars and I thought, well, that's never going to happen for me. I don't belong in that world. And so that dream shattered. Mm-hmm. Well, fast forward to 2018, and I got this spiritual push, if you will, to compete. You know, like, oh, you need to compete in Mrs. Colorado. And I kept pushing it away because it was scary. It was so scary because of my experience with my burn injury, but also the fact that I'm older and my body's been through a lot, and all of these kind of insecurity things that come up with age and with having babies and stuff like that. Your body changes. So I just kept pushing it away. Thought this is too scary. And in those same months that I was pushing it away, as a public speaker, I was sharing a program that I called Flawless. Mm-hmm. And in that program, I teach women of all ages, teenagers to 100 years old, how to see themselves as flawless, as beautiful, to find their true beauty, right? Through any insecurity. And so through that program, I tell audiences of people that I see myself as flawless, because I do. But then not honoring this push, not wanting to do this competition out of fear, I thought I was not being true to my words. So it took many months for me to kind of work through that and find the courage. The one thing that last year for me to compete that helped me find the courage was I had a vision. I saw me on stage with, 30 some women like you around me. And when I saw myself in that, I didn't see myself as the burn lady in the middle. I looked around and I saw everyone else's scars too, because I believe scars are scars. We all have them. We've all been hurt by something, right? And as I looked around in that experience, I saw their pain. I saw their insecurities. I saw their hardships, but I also saw their triumphs and their stories and their victories. And so in that whole experience, I felt included. And that gave me the courage to compete last year. So this year is, and I had so much fun. Oh my gosh, I grew a ton. And just last year was me believing in myself enough to put myself in a competition of beauty. That was beyond powerful for me. This year in 2020, I have a little bit different driving force to compete stronger, to work harder, to learn more, and to keep working hard to stay competitive in this sport of beauty, right? I met a girl recently, virtually. She had heard about my story. She's from California, and her name is Emily, and she's 15. She heard about me from someone in Ohio. I have no clue who that was. But regardless, that person connected us, which I'm very grateful for her. And I've been able to FaceTime her and mentor her one-on-one. She was severely burned about 4 months ago. But the thing that she told me was that she wants to be in beauty pageants someday just like me. That my courage to do this has inspired her to find herself again, to rediscover and maybe redefine a little bit what beauty really is, but to focus on her talents and gifts and work hard to become someone that deserves to be in a pageant of beauty, because I believe that true beauty starts from within us, and that takes work too. So she's my inspiration to keep going, and I think she represents a whole gamut of people who are broken, who've experienced pain, and who need an inspiration to help them get past their own scars of life. So that's why I'm doing it again this year.
Wow, Danette. Wow. Just wow. I mean, I remember last year when you shared a little bit about your story, but the way you present it is just, it's just so empowering, because like you said, like it's beyond the crown and the banner, and it's about using this platform as a voice. And like you just said, like you see scars in everyone, and it's not the beauty. And I just love that about you. It's just, you're unafraid to be who you are, and to be like a beacon of light and love for others who are also in the same shoes as you, who look at beauty as, I can't accomplish this because I don't look this way. And that's what I love about you. You're empowering so many women, not only in the state of Colorado, but nationally, probably internationally. And so I'm just so happy that you're sharing this, because I hope someone that is watching this someday sees this as an opportunity for them to step up and be like, you know what, she can do it, I can do it. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, because it's so,
I got chills.
I'm not doing this for me because it's still scary as heck. Like, it's still so scary as heck. But I think anytime if we can see the bigger purpose of anything we're doing, it helps us to work harder. And anything, even my public speaking came from a place of, I know I need to do this for other people, because I'm a shy little girl country little girl who would rather just hang out and be by myself sometimes than being in the center stage. So it does take a lot of courage, but I keep doing it because I know people are benefiting from it. So
I love that. I love that courage, seeing the power and the pain, but using it as fuel to move forward. And I love that. So tell me, along these last 2 years of actually last year, since it can be last year, what have you learned about yourself? And what life lesson would you like to share with everyone?
I think the main thing that I wanted people to know is I got to this place of accepting myself for who I was, scars and all. It's a process. It took me a very, very, very long time. And I want people to understand this in their own self, because I feel like we all have a purpose to live. We have a purpose in our life. We all have a gift to give, but a lot of times we get stuck in our own insecurities, being our own worst critic, thinking, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not talented enough, whatever. And we don't work hard to get to that next place to live our purpose. And so for me, I want people to understand that our beauty, our talents, our gifts radiate past any scar and any insecurity. I came up with a quote last year that is, be bold in faith, lead with love, and never be afraid to show your true beauty. And to me, it's faith not only in God, whatever that looks like for you, but also faith in ourselves, believing in ourselves. And that was really what I did last year. And then leading with love part is love for other people, for sure. Kindness, right? And accepting other people, but that has to start within us. If I don't love and accept myself for who I am, it's going to be much harder to love and accept other people. So that lead with love part is really important, and sometimes the hardest step. And then the never be afraid to show your true beauty. It's not listening to the voices of other people who want to criticize you and tell you that you don't fit in for some reason, or you're not good enough. Push past that fear and those other voices and just show who you are. And I think that's really powerful for anybody, man, woman, or child, to believe in themselves. And that's really the life lesson that I got solid last year in by doing this pageant and having the courage to do it. And it's a message I want to send to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That's amazing. Like, just your mission and everything that you're so passionate about. I can feel that energy. And I'm just so happy that you get to be such a great example to so many women in this community and around the world. So let's say you get crowned in July. What would your reign look like?
Well, I feel like the crown would be this platform for me to take all that I'm doing as an inspirational speaker, and whether it's one-on-one or in a crowd of people, and to be able to lift that. You know, I have so many examples of people that unexpectedly, in a lot of ways, after I have shared who I am and the programs I've written, have been life altered. And so just a few examples, there's a high school student, a high school senior, that came up to me after I did an assembly, and tears in her eyes. And she said, you saved my life. She said, I've been bullied, and I was ready to give up. But because of your encouraging words, I want to move on. That to me was like, okay, I need to keep doing what I'm doing, because you never know who you're going to inspire and to heal just by sharing the message that I have. Just heals people. There's also a woman who I did my Flawless program, and she said, you know, I came here today with my daughter and my granddaughter, and I came here for them. I wasn't expecting to learn anything from you. And she said, but what I discovered is I've been talking poorly to myself every day for 75 years, tearing herself down every day for 75 years. And she said, that ends today because of you. I was blown away by that. You know, you never know who needs to hear the message and who needs to self-reflect on how they're treating themselves and treating other people. And it's not just women. There's a man who's 26 and was one of the men that I mentored at the Burn Center. And he, after talking to him and joking and getting real and just answering questions and just being authentic with him, he said, you have taken all my worry away. So now he could continue his healing, having some peace with what was ahead of him. You know, sometimes if we just share honestly where we've been and what we know with people who need it, it's so powerful. And I feel like as Mrs. Colorado, I could just take all of that to a whole different level. And being crowned would solidify this fact that our beauty comes from within us, and that beauty radiates past any scar. And I feel like that's what the message the crown could send to so many people. Doesn't matter your age, your gender, your race, we've all been hurt by something. And we all have something we probably need to let go of.
Wow. I see you. I see you. You have such a powerful story to share, and I'm so glad that there are people, coming to you to tell you like, hey, like you've changed my life, and to see you on that stage. Who knows? There might be some people who have not even approached you yet. To see that strength and confidence on stage, and to look at your scars as beauty marks, because they are. And I really am so thankful to have you on. And I could talk to you for such a long time, but I have one last question for you.
Okay.
What is one last thing you'd like to share with our audience that you haven't talked about yet?
One last thing. I feel like, I really want to talk about my mom for just a moment. I lost my mom 2 years ago to Parkinson's. She had a long battle of Parkinson's, but she is a person who keeps guiding me, someone I had admired. She's my yardstick, that I measure my own self, my motherhood, my womanhood against her, and all that I've learned from her along the way. We grew up on a farm. So she was a farm wife, a mom of 7 kids, making everything from scratch. Like, I will never be as cool as she was, ever. But I certainly have learned so much from her. She has taught me how to work hard for everything that I have. She has taught me to have faith in that God will provide, even in those seasons of being a farmer where we didn't know what was going to happen, those financial struggles. She, witnessing her strength and her grace, walking through our fire, losing everything we had and almost losing our lives. Witnessing how she handled all that taught me so much about resiliency and courage, that I carry her with me in everything that I do. And that she lived this life of giving to others. And so through that, I learned so much about selflessness and love and humility. And so all of these qualities that I feel like I carry, and I'm constantly learning and growing, right? But it all stemmed from the example of my mom and all that she faced and how she handled that. And a lot of that's reflective and comes into play these days with our COVID crisis that we're dealing with globally, is this resiliency and courage and faith. And I want to thank my mom for being my yardstick and making me the woman that I am today.
Beautiful. Well, Danette, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to let us hear your story and how powerful it is and your mission. And I cannot wait to see what you bring this July for the upcoming Mrs. Colorado America pageant.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for taking time out to interview little old me. And I'm just so appreciative and honored to be a part of this whole journey and part of this pageant competition. I would recommend it to anyone in the world to give it a try, because you'll certainly grow through it. So thank you. And thanks for being our queen this year and all that you're doing for the state of Colorado. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, girl. Thank you.